Oh, looks like I should have trusted the weather prediction today. It said it was actually going to be sunny too, but it didn't look that way yesterday with all how much it was pouring rain and all that. Oh, another time maybe I'll do the other trip I was thinking of next week to get the drone shots and all that. I was thinking of that drone contest still too for the videos and stuff, even though I'll have mostly winter stuff because again I can't fly it anywhere for the most part here in Canada right now unless I get really outdoorsy. Since it is mostly winter shots and stuff, I guess if I did enter it, it would be in the nature category, I suppose. So I just need a little bit more variety, I think, to be creatively satisfied, I guess you can say. Although I'm not really sure on what the intent of the contest is, because is it more about storytelling with the video, or is it more about whoever has the most, I guess, unique video in general in the judge's eye? Because that's a big difference in my opinion, like getting a good shot versus, I don't know, somehow trying to tell a story of something. There was so much business related news today, ranging from things like Google potentially being fined like almost $9 billion in Europe or something like that. And what is this, Amazon buying Whole Foods? It actually related to like drones in some ways too, which is kind of interesting, so that's why I wanted to talk about it a little later. And home drone aerial, you're saying how when you brought the Mavic Pro out usually, like in the public, most people are amazed, and even from your experience, they just want to learn more. Except you had one experience where apparently somebody was paranoid, like privacy reasons, that you were taking like videos of them, even though I'm guessing they're probably just like a little speck. You know, funny enough, from my experience, usually when people see the drones, because of where I fly it, like, you know, out in the open, like here, like the open fields and, you know, hiking trips, most people that I pass by, they actually want me to bring the drone closer, like to film them. I guess it's just a novelty of it, because most people haven't seen like a consumer drone before, and so when they can see the views and themselves like using like whatever, like the follow me modes and all that, they think it's so cool. Only in that sense in many ways, just because from my personal experience, from the people I've interacted with, it just doesn't match up with what like people like say at Transport Canada tries to portray, like drones are so dangerous, like people are afraid of them and all that. It just makes me think in some ways maybe it's a myth, or it's just very, very cherry picking in terms of picking out the stories just to scare people about it for whatever reason. I can pretty much guarantee if the laws weren't dumb and they were like the way they were before, where a person like me could fly here, open field, no problem. If I bumped into a regular person just walking by, they would be fascinated with the drone. I mean, in many ways, I kind of want to meet someone who's terrified of it in the public, like in a really extreme way, just so I can see, like, okay, well, why? Like, even after you let them see it, like how steady it is and all that, like, would they still be afraid of it? Like, I don't know, is it just a lack of education? But, you know, it's something I'd be interested in still. Because for the most part, from my experience, for people who've never experienced like a drone like in person, they're just afraid it's like the stuff they see in the movies. These big, huge things flying, they have no control. So when they see it, it's steady. You get the gorgeous shots, and they're like, "Well, this is good." And Adrian, you were saying with the defibrillator example, how even though it benefits people, they could still see it, like for Transport Canada. Oh yeah, it's a benefit. So let's ground the recreational drone flyers still, because it could crash into one of those emergency drones. Let me think about that a bit. I'll see if I can think of anything at the end of the day. Holy, those are some of the smallest ducks I've ever seen. Dang, that was so cool. Can I get a drone shot like that one day? So one of the things I read today was how Alphabet Inc., which is technically like Google, is being possibly fined up to $9 billion in Europe. I think it's for having, from what I understand, a monopoly, like for things like when it comes to search. So it's kind of anti-competition, not because of that, but because apparently in their search results, they would list things like Google shopping results. So it kind of stiffs the competition. I was just thinking too, $9 billion, that's a lot of money. And I was wondering how would they actually spend that to help I guess, the businesses that they feel were being hurt because of this monopoly that they have. What would you do with $9 billion in that sense? Just give it to the business and say, okay, start up like again or something like that? I guess if you're a company that makes $90 billion a year, according to this, I don't know, is that just a slap in the wrist? That led to the biggest thing I read today, which was Amazon buying Whole Foods for $13.4 billion. What? $13.4 billion to buy Whole Foods? Holy smokes. I know Amazon always wanted to make a bigger dent into the grocery market, but I don't think they've been as successful as they wanted to. I know for me anyways, like even here in Canada, the prices for the groceries they have are usually pretty high compared to like what you can get in the store. So usually it's better just to get in the store. But when it comes to items like say certain electronics and all that, I usually find it cheaper on the Amazon. So I guess this buyout is basically a way for them to get into that market a lot faster. As many of you know too, Amazon is one of those companies that are really trying to test drone delivery services. And with this, it had a lot of the companies or articles talking like this will probably help their drone delivery as well in terms of them trying to push that technology even further. For myself, I'm always interested in what the average person would say about stuff like this. And to my surprise, like when I was looking at comments, there were so many mentions of things like they're looking forward to having like drones deliver their kale and all that stuff. So that's really interesting, I thought. Okay, I just bumped into someone and now I'm holding their sandwich with them because they went to the washroom. But yeah, that's kind of interesting because if Amazon is doing the grocery and stuff, then I think that's good for the drone technology because it makes people more comfortable with it. Overall, for myself, I'm one of those people that are actually excited about drone delivery as well. And I think it's a good thing because it's just a little weird how people here, for the most part, what's portrayed in the media and all that is people are so afraid of drones. Even when it comes to things like delivery, they're afraid it's going to crash and all that, but it's kind of funny to see, I guess, people in the US, they're kind of embracing it, saying, yeah, it's more convenient. So hopefully, I would say it's good, even though it's not like specifically here in Canada, I doubt we're going to have stuff like that as fast as people in the US. I think it's good anyways for the adoption rate, because the more people get used to it, the more they won't think it's a bomb or something like that. And like that, even though that's commercial, I think ultimately that's good for the recreational drone flyer too, because again, if people are more familiar with it, they're more used to seeing drones around their everyday life, then I can only imagine that would work well for the recreational user as well. Because one funny thing I was thinking too is because for these laws, I still don't think it's about safety. If it's more about, say, the image, like Garneau's image or Canada's image in general, then I don't know, just seeing other people around the world working with the tech, and if we're so behind, then that's what it might have to come down to. Like they're saying, oh, we're so old-fashioned, you guys are so outdated, then they're like, okay, we need to update to stay updated with the rest of the world. For people like myself, that's my hope, is that we don't have to wait until everyone's already done it, so we're playing catch-up. So that's what I hope, you know, talking about it and creating these videos, I hope that creates the awareness so that people realize how silly it is for those current laws the way they are. It's actually pretty late now, and I'm still thinking a response to that reply about saying, you know, the government would still say, even for the defibrillators, for example, yeah, still ground the recreational guy because it will crash into the other, you know, the planes and all that. I'm still trying to think, how would you convince someone that has that narrow-minded view of how the tech works? I guess if it's always about the what ifs, I guess it's like a car or anything like that, like with a drone. What if someday a regular civilian has to fly the drone and they can, in an emergency, to deliver this defibrillator, for example, they have a drone, they could do it, but then the law says, I'm sorry, I'm not legally able to fly this at all. Even though I could, I just can't. So what if in that situation? Like, are you gonna make a law that stops people from doing that? Like say driving a car, like yeah, realistically you should phone 911 and have an ambulance, but what if this guy could drive this person within, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes to get down to the hospital safely, but then he says, oh, I'm sorry, because I don't have like whatever, some kind of special operation certificate for the car to drive people like in an emergency situation, that they can't. That's the only thing I can think of, like for the drones in that case. If they still say nope, just ground all recreational drone flyers, I mean, in my opinion, it's time to be more modern day. People are gonna use it, it's a good skill to learn, just don't fearmonger it. That's the best I can think of with anyways for the day. Anyways, see you guys later.